Am I audible? Yes. Great. So before we start, just a quick show of hands if anyone has heard of Geeks to Geeks or used it. Oh, great. So it's our audience. Nice. So regarding how AI or technology is going to look like in the future, so I would first like to talk about how technology has affected me personally. I come from a very small town, tier 3 city called Muradabad, it's in UP. And then I learned programming in general from the school. So how I got into technology is I just like video games. That's all. Like in our school, it was a subject, computer science. And in the first standard, they were teaching A for abacus, B for backup, C for computer, all these things. And in one of these classes, the teacher thought, hey, let's take the kids to the computer lab. And she let us play a game called Dave. If I don't know if anyone from 90s have heard of it. So it's like Mario, but for Windows. And when I played that game for the first time, I was like, wow, it's so cool. I want to make video games. And I asked the teacher, how do you make video games? Who are the people who are making these? So she said, it's programmers, software engineers who do that. So for me, software engineers became those teachers who were very cool and they make things out of nothing. And that's what I wanted to be. In the school itself, I learned programming in the sense that I learned basic HTML, and then learning C++ in the 11th and 12th standard. So that's where my programming journey began. So I was doing it because I loved it. And when I got into college, they were teaching C. So it was like a step down from learning C++. So that's something very interesting. The first year went by very quickly and very easily for me because I knew the things that they were teaching. And then in the second year and third year, that's when they taught us operating systems, computer networks, and all those basic programming concepts. So this is where I found my interest. Like I was learning for making video games, but then I found out, okay, this is what software engineering is. So the video games part took a step back, and I wanted to make web applications, mobile applications. That's what I wanted to learn, and that's what I did in the college. And in that sense, I thought I learned a lot in terms of how you make applications, how you make tech, right? And then in the part of where, because I come from a tier 3 college, so the mindset there is about getting a job. So that's when companies come in at the time of placements, and I sat through those. And because I was not doing much of DSA on the part of an online judge, that became a problem for me. Even though I knew computer science, I knew the data structures, algorithms, but I didn't practice much on the online judge. That's where I understood, okay, this part of interview is where I got screened out. So by the time I could understand, around 40 odd companies went by. And really, I felt like, okay, I don't know anything now. And that's when I started learning a bit and then got a job, decent job in the college. For me, it was decent because it was in the area that I lived in. So I didn't want to go to South for a very small paying job. That's what I personally didn't want to go to. I wanted, if the company is paying a little less money, I would prefer to be staying nearby my hometown and everything. And that's what I chose as a company. And because a lot of the companies didn't want me either, that's another thing. But by the time I got out of college, the company rescinded the offer. So after 4 years of learning computer science and wanting to build products and web applications, mobile applications, I could build those things. I didn't have a job after 4 years. And for the first 6 months, I was just searching for jobs. So by the first month, you start thinking like, okay, I will get it because I have the skills and everything. And that month went by. In the second year, you're still in the stage of denial. You kind of think that, okay, I'll be able to do it. It's not something very difficult thing to do. And by the months went by, I could see those, your friends were posting on Facebook. Facebook was the thing that back then. Friends were posting like, okay, this is my first job, first salary. And these are the things that kind of get to you. Like, okay, this guy used to copy from me. How is he doing better than me? And that's when you start to question yourself. Your confidence kind of shakes a bit. And that's what happened to me as well. Like I really, for the whole 6 months, I was just getting low on confidence every passing day. And I was just looking for a job. I was kind of getting a bit anxious as well. And in that, I was lucky enough to actually be part of Geeks to Geeks. So Geeks to Geeks is founded by the professor of our college. So he was teaching computer science at that college, and I was one of the better students, as I like to think so. And that's when he kind of knew me. So when he started off full time in summer of 2015, he was beginning to, doing it as a small time, like small team, wherein there was interns there. And in the January of 2016, my friend who was already working as a software engineer there, he started off as the first developer at the company. That's when he said, hey, why don't you join in? Because he knew that I could develop applications. So the kind of things that we were doing at that point of time in Geeks with Geeks, that's not something which requires a lot of experience, because it's simple web application. People come in, you serve the request, and client server architecture, simple, very simple one. And then in the January of 2016 is when I joined in as a software engineering intern, because I was starting off. And that's where I started working on the first project that I did was my nemesis, an online judge. Because by the time, it was a blog website wherein people would come in and read the blogs, and there was not much that people could interact with. Like if they want to submit their code and test it against the test cases, that was not a thing there. So the first thing that I worked on was the test cases and how to build that online judge functionality. And I kind of hated that, like the system, in fact, not the work. I kind of wanted to make sure that everybody knows this part, because nobody should get rejected because they are not practicing on an online judge. So I was doing the kind of mistakes that I was doing in the early stages of my learning, right? You just need to complete the function in that code, right? So I was writing enter numbers for a linked list, and then I was expecting somebody would enter that. And that's what I saw when we built the first version of the online judge. People were typing in the code which was similar to what I was doing. So I spent a lot of time after hours of office just telling people, oh, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you should do it. This is not something which is expected. You just need to complete the function. So I was spending a lot of time out of my office hours also just to help people in general learn programming. That's kind of helped me in understanding what the real problem here is. People are not that aware, because, I mean, from the IIT's perspective, people really know how the systems work and all that. People are aware. But when it comes to the people who are like me from tier 3 colleges or tier 2 colleges, which there isn't much awareness of how you should learn DSA or any specific topic, that's where the problem lies. Because we are producing a lot of engineers or software engineers in general, but a lot of them don't even know how to write basic codes. And that's where we have spent a lot of time over the years. So when I look back now, even from the prism of perspective, right, you see that had I gotten a job in college, I would not be here right now just talking to you all, probably working on this problem. And that's when these things kind of matter. I saw a lecture of Steve Jobs. He said, you can only connect the dots backward. You can't think of, hey, I want to achieve this and this path. It doesn't really work out that way. Sometimes you have to really put in the hard work and then just continue doing that. That's where you find out that, okay, this is going to be my path and this is how it will work out. You never know what it will look like in the future. You can only look backwards. And so in the 4 years of college, what I generally learned was computer science, but also something which was problem solving. Like, you need to understand how to solve a problem. It's not just from the technical perspective. Any problem that you'll see in this world, right, it can be solved because it is there. You just have to understand what are the variables that is causing the problem. If you can mitigate those variables and you can really find out the solution, what is really it's lying next to it. So in the nature also, you find some herb which is very poisonous, and the solution is right next to it, which is generally the antidote for that herb. And that's what happens in general. So this was me learning technology over the years and learning problem solving, identifying how we can do things. So these are the things that you can actually focus on. If you're in engineering, you need to actually work on yourself in terms of how we can solve a problem. That's the kind of skill that anybody needs in this world. That's one thing. And when you look at it from the technology point of view, how it will look like. So I actually saw a video on the internet. It was about some ex-banker talking to a vegetable vendor. He said, I wanted a ginger and I was just having, it was 20 rupees transaction, right? And when he wanted to pay to the vegetable vendor, he said, how do you want it? You want it in cash or UPI? He said, whichever way you prefer. He went ahead and did the UPI transaction of 20 rupees. And then the vegetable vendor said, okay, these 10 rupees, 20 rupees transactions, these feel very good to me. He said, why? Because I never touch that money. It's completely in my account. I just make the expenses all through the cash money that I receive from the customers. So in a way, technology, when you look at it, helped him get the access to the banking. So he said, I saved around 1 lakh rupees in the last year or so just by not touching that money. Earlier, if you look at it, just because that technology was not there, he probably had that kind of money in cash. He went out and spent ahead because it was easy access for him. He didn't have access to banking services in its general sense. So that's where technology touched his life and improved it. When you look at it from the technology point of view, it was probably not nobody's KPI to improve the savings of a vegetable vendor. They just wanted more transactions done. They just wanted to onboard as many people as possible. But the technology, the impact of it was that vegetable vendor's life improved in the sense that he was able to get savings. He was able to improve his functional life just by the use of technology. And that is something that you can also see in future. When you look at it from a technology standpoint, you see a lot of buzz around about technology will replace things and people will be out of jobs and everything. But I feel that it will not be the people who will be replaced. It will be people who will be using those technologies who will be able to improve their lives. So let's say if we look at it from an example standpoint, from the agriculture aspect of things. So India is major part of our economy is agriculture based. So the farms in India are generally farmers are two types of farmers. So one who are very rich farmers who have tractors and all the resources, people to just do the farming, plowing and everything. And then there are poor farmers who have small pieces of land and they are just using their bullocks and really putting in all the hard work just to plow the fields. So imagine a scenario where some company thinks, hey, there are tractors available. What if we give them for hire for only few hours? Because generally it takes only 8 or 10 days of plowing for a small farmer to plow the field, and it doesn't make sense for them to actually buy the tractors. So imagine Uber for farming. That's the kind of impact probably we can see in the future, wherein people will be able to have access of technology. The startups will be there, which will be specifically focused around certain areas of society. If you look at it, and another example, probably one of the I would say, the worst kind of jobs in India, the very kind of jobs which are very looked down upon are human scavenging. That is something that we are still doing. There are people who are going down in drains, getting themselves into toxic waters and feces and everything, and really getting there to just clean up things. Imagine a scenario where a company comes in and says, hey, we are going to employ robots to clean those things. It's something that's doable, right? And those people who are actually going down the drain, they'll just operate those robots. So we are keeping those people in the job market and also helping them improve their livelihoods. So it's something which is being looked down upon, and historically, if you see, that has created a divide in our society as well. There is part of people who are looking down upon people who are just cleaning. So Gandhiji said, these are the people of Hari, these are Harijans. But we still look down upon them till today. There's a lot of cases. I'm probably in Bihar right now, and then you see that a lot of news coming in from this part of the world, even from UP where I come from, which happens a lot because they are looked down upon for their job, or the kind of job they're doing. So if we can improve their work, their livelihoods, they will get respect in society. The socio-economic change that the technology will bring will be something which has never been heard of. So their lives will improve in the sense that they'll get inclusion in the world, in the kind of present day world that we need to work on. That's the problem that needs to be solved, wherein people need to have equal respect. Inclusion, specifically I'm saying inclusion because we included the vegetable vendor into our finance sector. We will be able to include there are a lot of problems in India which can be solved by simply use of technology, simple problem solving. And that's where I would see that future of India, or probably technology in India specifically looks like. And we'll see that there will be growth, there will be inclusion of course, and then there will be development. Thank you.